His is the city of St. Louis, a city founded by French immigrants and named after King Louis IX of France. Located in the state of Missouri, right on the border with Illinois, this city has a long and rich history, with many historic buildings to explore. It was the first American city to host the modern Olympics, making it truly unique. Situated at the crossroads of two states and the confluence of the two longest rivers in the United States, the Missouri River and the Mississippi River, it holds a special place in the nation's history. Often referred to as the Gateway to the West, St. Louis is a city built on a mix of historical significance and modern charm. This is beautifully reflected in one of its most iconic landmarks, the Gateway Arch. Standing 630 feet tall, this half-arch monument symbolizes not only the city of St. Louis, but also the westward expansion of the United States. Not far from the arch, you'll find other historic sites like the Old Courthouse, the stunning St. Louis Basilica Cathedral, and the impressive Chain of Rocks Bridge that spans the mighty Mississippi River. From the iconic Gateway Arch to its vibrant neighborhoods filled with diverse dining experiences and cultural attractions, a visit to St. Louis offers a unique blend of tradition and innovation. However, the city is facing significant challenges. A steady population decline, largely driven by urbanization and industrialization, is a pressing issue. Additionally, St. Louis grapples with chronic safety concerns and has earned a reputation as one of the cities with the highest crime and murder rates in the United States.
We've seemed to hear about more and more violent crime in St. Louis.
One of the major challenges facing the city of St. Louis, which has a population of over 280,000 people, is crime.
Video posts made to social media are begging St. Louis police and city officials to stop the crime in their neighborhoods,
particularly in certain areas that are considered dangerous. Over the past few years, crime, especially violent crime and theft, has plagued this major city on the Missouri-Illinois border. In 2020, homicides in the United States surged by nearly 30%, and St. Louis was reported as the city with the highest murder rate in the country, with 263 cases, equating to 87 homicides per 100,000 residents. This marked a significant increase from the previous year, which saw 194 homicides. In addition to murders, the city, which spans just 171.5 square kilometers, also experiences far higher rates of violent crime compared to other U.S. cities. According to the website City Data, in the same year, St. Louis had a violent crime rate of 79 incidents per 100,000 people, a staggering figure compared to the national average of just 228.3. The types of crime prevalent in the city include robbery, rape, assaults, sometimes even against law enforcement, property theft, and arson. Although the number of homicides dropped significantly in 2023 to 160 cases, and by November 12, 2024, the number was 127, St. Louis is still far from being considered a safe city. Its reputation, tarnished by past events, continues to raise concerns among residents and visitors alike. Certain areas, such as Delmar Boulevard to the north, the Central West End, Page Avenue E, and Goodfellow Boulevard, are particularly worrisome.
His 30s was shot and killed around 1:30 Sunday morning. That was on Goodfellow Boulevard at McLaren.
In particular, the downtown area, which serves as the heart of St. Louis and houses many of its iconic landmarks, remains a hotspot for crime. With a population of about 4,000 residents, Downtown is considered one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the city, with crime rates over 38% higher than the national average. Visitors to the area are strongly advised to remain cautious and aware of their surroundings at all times. The ongoing drug epidemic has become a significant factor contributing to the high crime rates in St. Louis. This crisis has spread throughout various neighborhoods across the city, triggering violence and criminal activity. Drugs not only directly cause crimes such as robbery, theft, and assault by individuals desperate for money to feed their addiction, but they also create an environment that fosters intense competition, territorial disputes, and the rise of organized crime. According to the science addiction team at the University of Missouri, there were 2,178 drug-related overdose deaths in the region. Of these, 67% were linked to synthetic opioids like illegal fentanyl, which is known to be many times more potent than heroin. Furthermore, fentanyl poisoning has become particularly deadly in St. Louis, with overdose deaths reaching around 800, a number nearly 3 times higher than Kansas City, which reported 300 fentanyl-related deaths, making it the second highest in the state. In response to this crisis, local leaders, including Mayor Tishora Oneida-Jones, have begun shifting the focus from criminalization to rehabilitation. The city of St. Louis has seen a push toward drug courts and diversion programs, where individuals facing drug charges are allowed to seek treatment instead of serving jail time. This approach not only tackles the root causes of addiction, but also helps alleviate the strain on the criminal justice system. In addition to these efforts, prevention and intervention programs are being implemented to combat the growing drug problem.
Of young, unassuming victims.
When people think about drug activity sometimes in the past, they think about it as being dirty or a street drug. Well, with these counterfeit pills, it's being ordered on Snapchat, social media sites.
St. Louis is investing in community outreach programs, especially in underserved areas where drug use is most prevalent.
Source Dion Broxton explains what medics are seeing and what they're doing to help our neighbors kick addiction.
These initiatives focus on providing access to healthcare, mental health services, and job training, aiming to prevent drug-related crimes by addressing the underlying issues that contribute to addiction. Over the past 2 years, many families in the United States have experienced job loss, depletion of savings, or eviction from their homes. However, some have been unaffected by these hardships. This stark contrast is a clear reflection of the growing economic inequality, which is also evident in the city of St. Louis. Selena Miller, from the Social Policy Institute at Washington University, explains that as the economic gap widens, stability decreases, leaving many vulnerable to eviction and food insecurity. In 2023, a staggering 1,052 people in St. Louis were without access to stable, long-term housing. This led to over 100 individuals sleeping on the streets, while around 200 others moved from place to place or lived in abandoned buildings. Many of these people suffer from chronic physical or mental health issues, and some who had previously received assistance have fallen back into homelessness due to rising living costs. The economic divide in St. Louis is also clearly divided along racial lines. As of July 2021, the average wealth of white households was nearly $1.3 million, compared to about $300,000 for Black and Hispanic households. Home ownership is a major driver of the wealth gap between white and Black residents of St. Louis. White residents are nearly twice as likely to own a home as African Americans, both in the city and the surrounding area. Furthermore, among homeowners, the value of homes owned by white families is roughly 2.5 times higher than the value of homes owned by Black families. The economic inequality in St. Louis cannot be separated from the city's history, migration patterns, and demographic changes. After experiencing rapid growth in the early 20th century, St. Louis saw a massive influx of people from various regions across America. In fact, by the 1950s, the city's population peaked at 856,796. The majority of new arrivals were African American and Hispanic residents, part of the Great Migration between World War I and World War II. The high volume of newcomers led to overcrowding, prompting the expansion of residential areas into the suburbs. As Black residents moved into the downtown area, many white residents who had long lived there began to move to the suburbs. This phenomenon, known as white flight, occurred in several major cities across the United States, particularly in the Midwest. The migration of white residents, including in St. Louis, was largely driven by a desire to live in more homogeneous neighborhoods. This, in turn, led to racial segregation and the creation of distinct residential areas for white and Black residents. Today, the African American population is heavily concentrated in the northern part of the city, particularly in the area north of Del Mar Boulevard, where 94% of the residents are Black. In contrast, the Central Corridor has about 35% white residents, and the southern part of the city is home to 26% white residents. According to Will Rogers from the Economic Justice Institute at the Fed, the racial wealth gap is deeply rooted in discriminatory housing policies over several generations, such as redlining, which restricted Black residents' access to housing opportunities in predominantly white neighborhoods. These patterns of migration and segregation have contributed to a sharp population decline in St. Louis, with the city's population dropping to around 450,000 by the 1980s. Today, the population continues to shrink, now standing at just over 280,000.